My name is Ashley, and today I want to discuss a very important social issue which I believe should become a pressing concern in all your lives. What about the mentally ill and disabled? As a kid, I can definitely say I was an oddball. I was short, mixed race, and I came from a different neighborhood than everyone at the new school. On top of all of this, my two best friends were in special education classes, and I see that added to my stigma unfairly. To me, my friends were like anyone else, but some people over-pampered and babied people like them. I also had an aunt who suffered with schizophrenia and other mental health issues. She was bullied throughout all of elementary school, and eventually public school didn't work for her, so she had to be enrolled into homeschooling from 6th to 12th grade, and even her parents bullied her when she was homeschooled. At times, she was diagnosed with medicines that she was allergic to, and I believe that if we cared for people like her more, and there's more resources, that my aunt would be in and out of the hospital less today, and that people with mental illness would suffer less. This has to change. There has to be another way for people with mental illness and disabilities to live. Today, I hope you all will become convinced that this is a very real social issue, that you all are able to change and improve the lives of people with mental illness and disabilities. No one chooses the way they are born, as far as what they look like, who their parents are, or where they're from. So let's judge people based off their genetics. Judge people based off their actions and not their genetics. First, I'm going to discuss the problems among peers in society, in the public schooling system, and in the medical world, it's like hospitals and clinics. And then I'm going to say some of the causes. For example, needing to re-exist students for special education and lack of resources for research, and also just misdiagnosing people with medicines. And then lastly, I want to say some ways that you can all improve life for people who are in this situation. It's not impossible. We can pray for one another. We can be friends with people who are different and not act like they're weird or something like that. We need to change the way we treat people. So let's get into discussing some of the terrible and horrid practices that society accepts. Among society and peers, people often are calling, among society and peers, people are often basically bullying kids. I was bullied just for being put in reading classes, but I can't imagine how someone with a whole different type of brain, basically like different genetics, gets judged. And I know it because I've seen it firsthand all the time. All my friends are babied and pampered. We basically make a big old deal out of people being friends with someone. That's the first way that we mistreat people in the society of those who are special education. Ed Weekly says on an article titled "Special Education is Broken," and this is addressing those in this public schooling system, that children who have disabilities often aren't seen. And when they are seen, it's a hit or miss what happens in the school system. The article then states that teachers in 1975 said that not enough money is funded to public schooling systems to make the system go right. Now in the medical world, some terrible practices are social isolation. It's a common practice because they think there's nothing else for people. And I say to that, that we really want to help people, and that you think this is helping their condition because there's nothing else for the condition, but I think it only worsens the condition. And mentalhealthconnecticut.org agrees with me. It says, furthermore, social isolation has been linked with high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and overactive immune response. As you can see, social isolation, its only thing that they're doing is keeping them alive, but not happy or healthy. And then also, just among the public, NASM.org says that there's NASM.org listed 21 historical tragic events that have happened to people with illness and disabilities in the mental section. Things among rape and abuse and even murder. And sadly, the truth is that this is not even half of it, and many of these practices and abuses towards these people were accepted at a point in time. Not too long ago, in fact, even 20 years ago during the 20th century. And now I want to talk about the causes of mistreatment towards people with mental illness and disabilities. Here are some causes. First is a lack of resources for research and the lack of completed research. And what I mean by this is, like, we give people medicines, and as I said earlier, my aunt was allergic to the medicine she was given. We have misdiagnosis. HS.org, Hillside Atlanta, says that a lack of competency can certainly lead to misdiagnosis. And among this other factors. By the other factors, they mean masking symptoms. Masking symptoms are symptoms that occur in multiple mental conditions, and this could be in other medical areas too, but I'm just going to speak on the mental side. Basically, it occurs in multiple situations. So let's say I have anemia, and so I shiver and I shake in class, but then my teacher's like, man, she's so hyper. And so she tells my parents I have ADHD. And now my parents are giving me medicine for ADHD when I really need some iron in my blood and I might faint. It's absolutely ridiculous. This misdiagnosing needs to be stopped. I also want to say another thing. Just not only misdiagnosing is a problem, but diagnosing period. Medicine.net said that medicine.net listed some side effects of a common encouraged medicine that my aunt spoke of that she takes for her anxiety. It's called Leprexo, and it's also used for It's also used for those who are suicidal, not just depressed or with anxiety. And the medicine's common side effects are agitation, restlessness, blurred vision, and diarrhea. Those are just the little side effects, and most of those seem uncomfortable in my opinion. But on top of that, the serious side effects are suicidal thinking, even though it's supposed to stop suicide, serotonin syndrome, and abnormal bleeding, and the list goes on. As you can see, this needs to be stopped. Some people argue that, as I said before, that isolation is okay, especially with inmates who you can't control. They told on goldmedalsafetypadding.com, they told their audience basically that imagine being a healthcare person, and you're over here having to arrest an inmate, giving them their medicine, and all they want to do is attack you. And so you know what? I understand. That could work for an inmate who doesn't care to follow the law. But for someone who is scared and doesn't have a fully cautious mind, we shouldn't just want them alive. We should want them alive and healthy. We should be wanting them to regain consciousness, not just be safe. Because sometimes people are just clumsy, like they have like a conscious disease where they just hurt themselves but not necessarily others. Now lastly, I want to say some solutions to this whole issue in general. And I think the first is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And that's a common saying. And treating others the way you would like to be treated. Praying for one another. And because I do believe in God. And I do think that would help. And even in other ways, in physical ways that we can help people. Tell people of role models. Healthcare.utah.edu says that there's a list of celebrities, and here are some of them: Albert Einstein, Demi Lovato, Michael Phelps, and Temple Grandin. Temple Grandin is a doctor who had autism and has made a whole new system for people in the farming system that is still used today. Tell people about those role models, and they will be encouraged, and they will become better people. Tell people about what they've been through. And then lastly, look into becoming a researcher. Look into becoming a doctor. Extend period of testing to ensure that diagnoses are correct. And for teachers, I think that you guys need to not only, instead of extending your period of testing, extend your period of assessing to make sure children are actually needing special education classes. Some people have mental illness, but some people have mental disabilities, and the two often get confused. Anywho, this is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my speech. I also wanted to quote one more thing from Temple Grandin on the on MIT.org. Temple Grandin said, "It's the key, like the key to making people in the mental illness community feel better is to look at what people can do, not what they can't," and she's proven that. Thank you.